Today's AskReddit post. What is the most disrespectful thing a guest ever did at your home? Oh boy, this is gonna be a good one. Let's get started. My sister's friend kicked my cat BC. She doesn't like cats. I slapped the shit out of her and I have zero regrets. My old roommate's friend was supposed to crash on our couch. He kept drunkenly bragging all night that he was going to kick my cat. I made him promise he wouldn't. His friends acted like he was just joking and being an asshole for laughs. He later told his friends that he kicked her anyway after I went to sleep. My cat is not aggressive whatsoever and would have just left him alone all night. I don't care how much someone hates cats. A cat is a very small animal compared to an adult human. Basically the size of an infant. Would you kick a baby? By the way, if someone has made hating cats a part of their identity to the point where they have to make a big deal about it anytime someone mentions cats, they're not funny, they're just an asshole. I can understand disliking an animal. Hell, birds creep me out, but I won't strangle someone's parrot because I'm mildly creeped out by chickens. We just took in a kitty. He's number 4. We posted inquiring about an owner but nobody came forward. There is someone down the street threatening to shoot strays though, so we gave Kitty sanctuary. Of course he's a snuggly love bug and we love him, so we hope he'll blend with our boys well. If not, our landlord is willing to take him in and he'd have a good home there as well. He was probably dumped because he's old enough to spray, so we're sending him to Anchorage to get all his necessary stuff done. Neuter, vaccines, worming, etc. He also has a wonky third eyelid on one eye that they'll check out. His tail is broken at the end like it got crunched in a door or something. But apparently in Japanese culture a crooked-tailed cat is a sign of good fortune. Best of luck to you and the new kitty. Over the course of 3 days they drank 2 1L bottles of regular mead, 2L of the expensive stuff, 4 bottles of wine, a bottle of spiced rum, a flask of vodka, and a bottle of tequila. 3 days. JFC. I had to check twice. I was angry, but also morbidly fascinated that someone could do this to their body and still appear sober enough to not rouse any suspicions. Edits 1. L for liter, not LT2. This one a single person and he put most of the bottles back after he'd finished them. We had offered him some rum on the first evening and we watched him drink a tall glass of it like most would drink apple juice. The amount he drank would have lasted us a year or longer. They invited another distant family member to our Christmas gift exchange, then didn't plan to show up themselves. 1. We wouldn't have a gift for the person. 2. They had been specifically told that the parents in the group didn't want this person near their kids. 3. The person had pending charges for sexual assault of a minor. Fuck that. I would say something. We did. Then we were cast as the assholes. That's when you realize no one else is worth being with. LOL true. My brother-in-law left a vial of PCP on the couch where any of my kids could have easily picked it up. Then he had the audacity to ask my wife if we found it and told her he wanted it back. That sucks. In the same vein, my sister had been stealing my kids' medicine to get high. She was emptying capsules and leaving them behind, so I was giving my kid empties sometimes, but sometimes full dose. For about a ducking year, I couldn't figure out why he was struggling. Then COVID hit and she didn't have access to my house anymore because I'm always home. My brother-in-law didn't feel like watching his sick child during his last stay. Well, just as expected, his kid diarrheaed all over our wool carpet. He didn't apologize or offer to get it cleaned. After finding out the cost to clean it would be half the cost of its purchase price, I decided to throw the carpet out. The carpet could have been the Bill's Christmas present that year. Too bad I didn't think of that. Tried to duck in my bedroom. Went back to my room for my smokes in the middle of our end of semester house party to find these two making out heavily on my bed, partially undressed. I didn't know who they were and neither did anyone else at our party, so we kicked them the duck out. Mayo, this reminds me of when I was hosting a party, noticed a couple were missing and jokingly said I hope they weren't ducking in the house somewhere. They weren't. Dead serious. 2 people said it was none of my business. and no one else really responded because we were all completely baffled. They weren't joking. They legitimately thought it was something I shouldn't care about. In my own house. Became an in-joke with the couple for the next few months when I told them about it. And we'd keep saying things were none of your business whenever the clueless two were around. This was my most massive cockblock ever. But damn it, if anyone is having sex on my bed, it's going to be me and not some randos we had no idea were even a part of our party. 4 golden rules of being at my house. 1. Don't steal shit. 2. Don't set anything on fire. 3. No ducking in my house. Unless it's with me. 4. Leave your shitty drama at the door. Start shit and you are out. Annoyingly enough, I have these rules because all ducking for have happened at one point. Do you mind if I copy these rules to use as a cross-stitched pattern? I want to hang it by the front door at my house. Not my home, but leaving trash in my car. I ducking hate it when people do that. Only my trash is allowed in my car. Don't add to it. My damn mailbox is at the end of my road. Where it's positioned, it's easier to drive up to it leaving my place than when coming home, so I just grab it on the way into work. Sometimes the Wad of Wednesday ads lives on the passenger floor till I feel like clearing it out. When I was a teenager, my parents had a dinner party. An infamous guest at the table shat his pants, went to bathroom, and left the soiled underwear by the sink. Went back to the table and carried on drinking. Alex, he came to yours too? Yo, real talk, my BFS name is Alex and he's told me stories about shitting his pants at other people's house. I need this story. Just to clarify, your boyfriend has told you stories about him shitting his pants, and you're still with him? Well shit, if that ain't love IDK, what is? Couples that shit together, fit together. The worst offenders in my friendship group are 2 who infamously overstay their welcome. They generally stay over when they come round, and if I didn't make an excuse about having to go out, they'd probably stay until the next evening. I had a group like that. 3 of them. They're harmless and well-meaning, and I just smile and cheerfully tell them it's time for them to go. Nope. You can't hang while I sleep. Nope. I don't have anything pressing. I'm just done having company. See y'all next time. Once my friend stood up during a lull and said, "Okay, it's friends go home time," and drove us back. I actually really respected how upfront they were about being done. Exactly. It's so nice. No one is affronted. You don't suffer through hours of not wanting them there. You get to stay friends. Oh man. Do I wish my stories were like yours. My friend did the same thing to a pretty large sized group of us hanging at her house out in the rural country for a big birthday party. Only problem is almost all of us were ducked up one way or another. That just killed the buzz and almost got some of us brutally raped and murdered in some back alley somewhere. I do wish I got to experience that kind of party ending in such a positive note, though. Swung from my ceiling fan and ripped it out of the ceiling. Like just reached up, grabbed it, hung on for dear life until it crashed to the floor on top of him. Did he pay for it? Well, that part of the story is even worse, lol. I was in college and had friends over to my parents, with whom I lived with then, when they were gone for the weekend. My parents knew I was having friends over and we would be drinking, but obviously no one expected this. The worst part was breaking the news to my parents, but they ended up being chill and covered repair costs. That was nice of them, I guess. Not my house, but I had to throw someone out of a friend's house for pissing in the kitchen sink on the dirty, now dirtier, dishes. Excuse me, but what the duck? Were they too lazy to walk to the bathroom? So lazy that he manages to pee in a sink that's clearly higher than his penis instead of just sitting on the ducking toilet. Maybe he was using the sink's edge as a dick rest. IDK. All I know is a girl walked into the kitchen and said, "Are you pissing in the sink?" Then everyone proceeded to say your username and he got thrown out. A former friend stole €5 from me. We were 13 and it was my weekly allowance. Someone at one of my birthday parties, I was maybe 7 or 8, stole all the cash I was gifted. We never found out who. Just thinking about that gave me anxiety and the strong feeling of injustice, and now I want to find the kid and have a nice talk to hide his parents. Seriously. But dollar to donuts. The parents are as rotten as the child who stole the cash. Someone who I am no longer friends with came into my house and randomly started going through my stuff just cause they were curious. They then proceeded to grab a snack in my kitchen without asking and just sat down casually eating and proceeded to look through my art with their dirty hands. This sounds like stuff my 5-year-old might do. We're trying to civilize him a bit. I got a kick out of that last sentence. LOL. One of my cousins poured a full can of cola over my arcade stick controller for my Genesis back in the day. I'm still salty about that one. Especially cause they made me lie to my parents and say it was an accident when I watched them do it from around the corner. My extended family was not allowed in the house ever again. I guess the adults had a thing too. No idea what. But I can imagine. You should reach out to your parents and ask. Update this thread later. Well, I haven't known where my father is for 15 years now, and I have gone no contact with my mother due to physical and emotional abuse. So, sorry, but an update isn't in the cards. From what I remember, I think it had something to do with my paternal aunts being bitchy to my mother about her food. I remember it was Thanksgiving and my mother refused to ever cook for them again. So that makes sense for the timeline. But I'm not sure at all. Wow, your family is great. Ha, grade A. My paternal uncle is a recovering alcoholic and his son was already well on his way to continuing that tradition when I last saw them as a teenager. And my uncle was already well on his way to driving his daughter away because she came out as gay. My paternal grandparents asked my father how long my not being able to go home was going to last. The summer I called the cops on my mother. My maternal grandparents refused to admit that my mother did anything wrong, and despite me trying to tell them that I wanted to keep them in my life, but not their daughter, they kept inviting her, without telling me, to Christmas even when I specifically would schedule a date as far from Christmas to do the gift exchange and dinner as possible. So yeah, bad family. I had a friend living with me for about a week while he was between places. I came home from work one day, went to the bathroom and noticed he had used my razor. No big deal. When I was done in the bathroom, I went to the front room and noticed that he had not shaved his face. You can catch hepatitis from sharing razors. And HIV. HIV dies on contact with air. The razor would have to be dripping with fresh blood. Well, I'm white and my siblings are black and mixed. Some, also white, guy I was looking at starting a band with came over and we were talking on my porch. Without knowing who my siblings were, he randomly said I hate Engers. They should all hang from trees. Told him if he ever stepped foot on my property again I'd put him in the ground. I'm surprised you didn't deck him right there and then. He shat in the toilet when we didn't have any toilet paper in the bathroom, and he flushed a sock after using it. It ended up being like $800 in damage. This is the same ducker that vaped mercury on a dare. My sister. Her marriage ended. Her husband went to jail. She lost her job. Her daughters went to live with our father. She stayed with him most of the time. But when she had business to take care of, legal and medical, she came down to my area and stayed with me. She paid zero money to sleep on my couch. Bitched and moaned in the mornings when I got up for work because I woke her up. She bitched and moaned when I told her to turn the sound down on the television because it was 2 AM and I needed to be up at 6 AM for work. She turned the volume up and the neighbors started to complain. She not only showed zero thanks for me letting her stay on my couch, but would take every chance she could to insult me and belittle me in my own home. Once, after the police knocked on the door to tell us to keep the television volume down because the neighbors complained, she told our parents that I am such a terrible neighbor the cops get called on me all the time and that I yelled at her for no good reason at 2 in the morning because I am an asshole. Eventually, I told her next time you have business to take care of, rent a hotel room. I'm not putting up with your shit anymore. Jail sounds better than marriage with her. Stole my jacket to walk home with because he was cold. Then denied ever taking it and threw it away to save face. Fuck you. Dean. My ex's daughter did that to me. It was a really cool dressy jacket that she asked to borrow and I said no. Never saw it again and haven't been able to find one to replace it either. A friend was coming over and asked if he could bring a friend. I had never met that guy but said yes because I like to meet new people. Well, they came over and we were just chilling, drinking a few beers, and we got to playing Tekken. I was facing new guy, and when I beat his ass he got so mad he threw my PlayStation controller on the floor so ducking hard. It didn't break, but I asked him to leave right away. What a nut job. I knew a guy like this in college. Anytime he would lose at a game he would scream, cry, then disappear for a couple of hours. Guy was a nut. A lot of my friends are artists, and so one thing we often do when together is draw or paint. One friend of mine noticed my new paint set and asked if they could use it, assuming they would be respectful and clean the brushes after I agreed to let them. However, they never did and I had to get brand new brushes later that week. I paint minis for D&D. Had a buddy over who really wanted to learn so he could paint his own mini. Took a brush, freshly dipped in black ink wash, and plunged it into a brand new pot of blue. I was mortified. I'm gonna have nightmares about that. She cooked crack cocaine in my bathroom with my 3-year-old in the tub and stole $1,100 in an envelope that was meant to pay my rent. You sure they didn't break into your house? No shit, right? Turns out she had a bunch of people fooled into thinking she was poor desperate. I was fortunately no worse for the wear, but I can't say the same for her daughter, with whom she now estranged because of her behavior. She stole over $3,000 from her own child. SMH. Crack cocaine's a hell of a drug. I had a friend over one time. We're both girls in 7th grade, and I gave her a brand new cot to sleep on. I gave her a pillow and multiple blankets so she wouldn't get cold or anything. The entire night, she complained about how uncomfortable it was, and how it wasn't fair that she got a cot and I slept in my own bed. I told her the cot was all we had, and the only other option was the couches downstairs. She refused to do that too, so we just went back to sleep. At probably 7 AM I'm awoken by her pulling the sheets off from my legs and crawling into my bed while I am still in IT. Of course. I'm like, dude, what the duck are you doing? Stop. And she's like, no, I'm sleeping here with you, and proceeded to lay down with her ducking feet in my face. I continue to tell her to get off because I'm not comfortable with it, and she just straight up refuses to move whatsoever. I end up just getting up and going downstairs for breakfast while she sleeps for another 3 hours. She also ate an entire unopened box of wheat thins that my parents bought, and when I tried to reach for some, she pulled the box away from me and told me I couldn't have any, and if I wanted some I needed to go get a new box. I assume, hopefully, that this was the last time that friend stayed over. We were newlyweds and had just bought our first house, scraped for a down payment and just squeaked in. My cousin-in-law came over the day of the closing and while looking at the backyard whips his dick out. I'm gonna extend your fence. And sure enough starts pissing away. As I look away I lock eyes with my new neighbor who was coming over to say hello. Edit. Avowal. Good old cousin Eddie. Literally stole all but one of my bottles of alcohol and left a gigantic shit in the downstairs guest toilet. Since it was a party and it happened after I had fallen asleep for the night, I have no goddamn clue who it was either. I can only assume it was someone who'd been invited by a friend but no one ever fessed up. Oh, here's another one. Another party. Someone had invited a friend with them who drove and parked in my driveway. My car was in the garage. Well, I guess that friend got trashed and couldn't leave but didn't want to stay the night, so they had one of their other friends drive him home and left their car parked in my driveway. I had work the next day and couldn't leave. I had to blow a PTO day and gave the guy till noon to pick up his car or I'd have it towed. One of his friends showed up to pick it up. Told my friend that had invited the guy he was never allowed back over again. I'm sure it was annoying, but dude made the decision not to drive drunk. I feel like that should net him some positivity. There's a good chance the driver was also drinking but not as trashed as him, so not that much positivity. Guy just didn't want to crash on the couch. Started an anti-gay conversation. Really just a monologue. At my dining room table in my house, and yes, he knew I am gay. Ugh. I've had something similar happen, but luckily not in my own home. Bro, you actually watched the whole video. I'd give you a high five if I was a human. Make sure to click the like button and subscribe for more great content. See you next time.